Good afternoon, fellow environmentalists and mindset changers. We continue with our interviews in Livingstone. With me is Mr. Ken Likokoto, the owner of Keli Clean, which is a waste management company here in Livingstone. Welcome to the interview, Mr. Likokoto.
Thank you so much.
So we'll start with Keli Clean itself. When did the company start operations, and what inspired you to start this particular company?
Okay. We started operating in 2009, but then before it started in 2009, that was way back in Lusaka. Um, I was hoping I could get a contract with Lusaka City Council, but then that time there was stiff competition, and I ended up getting a subcontract under a company that was working in District I, which is Kabata constituency. I just did it for about 6 months, and then later on it couldn't work out for me. So I decided I should actually look for a destination where I can do my waste management services. So I thought I could come back to not really my hometown, but this is where mom comes from. So when I got here, I approached the council, and then they told me, okay, not much has been done when it comes to companies running waste management. So I said I could offer actually help out in coming up maybe with a bylaw, because they did have a bylaw that time. So the council was very welcoming, and then they told me I should actually look for people that are doing the same so that we can actually harmonize. To cut the story short, I saw this in Botswana because then I was working as a social worker, and I saw private companies collecting. So I thought, why not do it home? So when my contract ended, I came back, and I obviously wanted to do this thing. Little did I know that there were people who were already doing it in Lusaka. So we just joined the rest of the people. Basically, that's how we started. So in 2009, we were called Keli Enterprise Zambia Limited. But then over the years, we decided to change from Keli Enterprise to Keli Clean Zambia Limited. That was 2013. Okay. So then we got our grip, and we started operating in Livingstone. So we started out as a garbage collector, and we were just collecting and dumping. And over the years, we thought we should be able to actually add value to what we are collecting. So that's how we started the issue of recovery of material and then recycle of that same material.
Okay.
Yes.
So when we talk about you now collecting waste and trying to start the recycling business, specifically what type of waste do you collect? Then how viable is this business? Because a lot of people looking in from outside think the viability of such a business is just not there.
Okay. I think first of all, the type of waste we're collecting solid waste, and solid waste, obviously, when we started out, that is municipal waste that is produced from homes. We were not dealing with so much of industrial waste, and we were not dealing with so much of hazardous waste, which is sometimes clinical waste and other waste that are coming from industries.
Sure.
So we were basically dealing with just municipal waste, the waste that was coming from homes. And obviously, when we started out in terms of maybe sorting out, we were looking at plastic, we were looking at tins, we were looking at different kind of paper boxes and white paper and all that. And those are the things that we were actually looking at. But then for now, I think the portfolio has actually grown. We have even gone into metal, because we realize metal has also come up as one of those recyclable materials that you can actually recycle. Okay. So at the moment, we're covering everything. Yeah. So in terms of viability, yes, it is viable, very, very viable actually. Yeah, no. What is actually, I think, taking us down is because most of the starters in this country really don't have enough money to get equipment. So before you can realize what you put in, you would have to go through thin and thick for you to get there. So it hasn't been easy for me, but then we've tried all means to get where we are today. So the viability is there. I mean, if you're given a community that has about maybe 7,000 households and you're charging 60 kwacha per month, how much is that?
Quite
You
some.
see what I mean? Yeah.
Yeah.
So the viability is there, regardless of what the other people are seeing it to be. But I think this is what is driving other economies in the Western world. So if you look, you compare probably somebody who is employed to actually run the sanitary in the outside world, they are getting more than probably one of the directors that you can find within Zambia, because it's a lot of money. So the viability, yes, it has the viability. I think it just takes political will, and it takes people who are serious and actually just putting mind to it. Then it works out from there. Yeah.
So you being, an expert in West, you could probably guide us a little bit more in relation to the dump site in Dambo, where elephants actually are eating plastics. First and foremost, is that dump site a legal dump site or it's an illegal dump site? Then, what do you think the solution is to that problem? Because the moment the elephants start eating the plastic, it will eventually affect their health. We've already seen what plastic is able to do with farm animals, goats and cattle, and that will transfer to wildlife if we don't stop this flow of plastic to the dump site. So what exactly can we do to solve that problem?
Okay. Okay. I think that's a very, very important question. The way I look at it is like this. As much as it is illegal, because that site is run by the local authority, which is Livingstone City Council.
Okay.
And for them to actually have it running, obviously they have the permission by the Zambia Environmental Management Agency, because I think these are the ones that do assessments for any place that is going to be used for any other activity that is of that sort, or any other activity that can be able to prove itself that it can endanger the environment. So the dump site itself is a legal site. The only problem that I see is that it's not a landfill. There's a difference between a dump site and a landfill. A landfill is manageable. You find equipment there, you find all the things that you need there, you find even cells that are harnessing up certain gases to be able to be used in the process. But when you go there, you will find that that area is just where we go to dump whatever we are getting, obviously to manage the waste that is being produced in the city. Because at the end of the day, if we do not have such places, where will we dump our waste? So illegal, yes, it is a legal site. But what I think is that if at some point the council can be able maybe to, if they do not have funds, they can be able maybe to engage donors to be able to fund and probably come up with an engineered landfill where all the waste can go and all the activities are controlled from. So I think on that point, I think a landfill would work out very well for us to avoid even the situation of the elephants that you're talking about. But then you see, elephants also are animals that would want to actually maybe take something from the inside. So sometimes they would break in. So we've seen people controlling elephants from not entering their premises. There's a way they can do that. So I think even the same, if it was to be put forth, they could find ways and means of trying to actually prevent the elephants from going into the site.
Okay.
Yes.
So in terms of looking at waste as something that would bring cash as a resource, if you could just motivate us a bit, if one collects a ton of PET, for example, what type of finances are we talking about? How much does one make?
Yeah, depending who you are selling it to.
Okay.
But then see, I don't know why everyone thinks money is only starting from one kwacha. But I think money is starting from ways, if you could correct me.
It
And
is money.
anything that has got to do with ways, people don't want to associate themselves. I mean, that's where the money is.
Yes, it's
Without
about the
one
turnover.
way, yes, without one way, you cannot make that much. So for me, I think I'm motivated from there.
Okay.
That whatever I collect, if I sell it 15 way, and obviously if I have 30 tons times 15 way, how much is it? See what I mean? There are tons and tons of waste in this city. So it's just a mindset. It's just a mindset. So if one came and sold a kg of PET to me, for instance, I'll buy it at 1 kwacha. All right. So if they have 1 ton, they have 1,000 kwacha. I think that's where we need to begin from.
Okay.
We need to appreciate, and that is actually self-employment.
It is.
It is, because I mean, there's litter all over. There's PET everywhere.
Yeah.
Like this time around, the season is hot, and people are drinking a lot of fluids. They're taking a lot of water, and they're throwing, of which we don't encourage people to be throwing anyhow. But then you see, that's a trend now. People are throwing and throwing and throwing and throwing and throwing. So if we keep on buying and we keep on picking and selling, I think we'll make money out of there. I'll tell you that there are plastics that are more than 1 kwacha. Others are fetching at 5 kwacha per kg.
Okay. Which type of plastics?
The type of plastic, which is the dishes that we're using as utensils in our homes. Those dishes, the plastic dishes, the garden chairs. That's one of those plastics that we get at 5 kwacha. Even the bottles of let me say bottles of Vaseline, of course, lunch boxes where you put in your margarine, lunch boxes that you use in your homes, cups that are used in your home. That's PP. So when they're damaged, you bundle them together, and then you bring a kg. That's 5 kwacha per kg. The bottles of my hair, that's 4 kwacha per kg. You see what I mean?
Yeah.
So I think when you talk about viability, employment, there's already employment there. We don't just see it. Yeah.
So, in closing, what is the vision you have for Keli Clean? Where do you see this company being 5 years from now?
Obviously, 5 years from now, I want this company to be one of the leading companies in waste management in this country. What do I mean? We want to handle waste at every level, beginning from the generation point to the last point. So we need to just put equipment from the beginning to the end. You see, we have our colleagues, the Chinese. I'm calling them colleagues because we're working with them.
Sure.
Our colleagues, the Chinese, have taken over the show. They are running this show. They have equipment. They buy these materials from us. And obviously, after buying these materials from us, they make much, much more than we make ourselves. Why? It's because they're processing it. They're adding value to it. The only value that we're adding ourselves is sorting. But for them, they make sure they go through a wash liner, probably. And after that process, sometimes they'll put it in a machine to just make pellets. And they make money on both sides.
The pellets, of course, costing way more.
Yes. And the flexi maybe costing a little bit more, but it's much, much more that they make than we do. So I think my vision is to be able to graduate at the level of just supplying material, and at the level of actually getting the material myself and actually processing it to the level where we can actually sell it to people that are manufacturing different type of things like bottles, like cups, like zambas, like jerseys for football. You know that the PET, the bottles of water, that's where the football jerseys are made from. Did you know that?
No, that's
You
news
didn't.
to me.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Most of the curtains you see are made out from that.
Okay.
So these guys are making more money than we are doing. So we could set up industries that make curtains, that make jerseys, that make different kinds of things. Even the hair, the wigs that you're seeing with women, they call it synthetic hair. That's plastic, that's PET. The bottles of water.
Okay.
You see that? Because when you put that under pressure or under heat, it will burn out. It's plastic. So all those things, and those things obviously are coming from South Africa into Zambia. When they make them from there, they're using the same products that are coming from this country, and make such kind of things.
So our biggest challenge is value addition from right here.
Yes.
Okay. Mr. Likokoto,
Yes.
thank you so much for having us. It's been a pleasure seeing what you do here and having a chat with you.
Thank you so much. Thanks for coming. I hope you tell the story very well, so
We-
that at least we can inspire somebody out there to be able to pick something.
We will do our best.
Thanks.
So thank you so much for being with us. Follow us as we continue to speak to more stakeholders in Livingstone. Nice afternoon.